Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here with another Master Duel video for you guys. Today, in this one, we're going to be taking another look at our Adamancipator deck for the Synchro Festival. I know I said in the last video, I was kind of a Debbie Downer in the last video. I mean, I do still I do still have those feelings. Well, share, actually, from what it sounds like with the community and a lot of you guys too, about, my feelings about this event where it's, not like the most exciting for me, but at least we've got a bunch of gems. And I like the new base too, which I still need to add to my board. I need to remember to do that as soon as I'm done recording this video. But yeah, anyway, so I did manage to get a few more pretty decent games recorded, or not recorded, but saved as replays here that I'll show you guys. The first one I'll show you is actually the last one I just had, which is a fairly decent back and forth between an Adamancipator and mirror match that I had. So yeah, it's just this event, it's like, I don't know what it is about. Well, it's kind of what I touched on in the last video, right? It's that the synchro decks are all long combo decks, so people are just conceding. And I'm not really complaining about long combos. I mean, I play Adamancipators. I'm not really one to complain. So, but it's just the fact that your opponent's conceding, so your wins aren't even really satisfying. For me, like, trying to make good content, right, and get quality games, it's been very, very hard. Like, I'm already at the point where I'm done with, like, the gems. I've basically gotten 11,000 medals, and I'm still debating if I even want to go for the tickets and the title at the end. I'm kind of leaning towards no at this point, honestly. But, yeah, out of all that, I ended up with, like, I don't know, maybe a total of 10 games I could really show that were actually good. That includes wins or losses, because, like, even my losses were not really that many, to be honest. And also the ones that I did lose to, I just honestly got, like, hand-trapped in. I mean, what I said this format was going to be, it's what I predicted. It was going to be very, like, hand-trap dominant, disruption dominant. It's all about having negates, I think, and we're even seeing that with the prevalence of stun decks in the format. Also, of course, part of the prevalence of said stun decks is the fact that, a lot of people just don't have the synchro decks, or the synchro monsters and tuners to make a deck. And, we do have the options of loner decks, which, again, it is a step in the right direction that those are, like, very playable right now. But I don't know, it's surprising to me that Konami wouldn't even include hand traps that are also tuners, like Ash and Valor, in all the decks. Like, even just Ash and Valor, even like 2 of each would have made a world of difference for those loner decks in this event. It would have gone a long way towards making them a more viable option. But honestly, I just don't really see them working out the way they're built right now. The Synchron one, again, is probably the best one, because it does have 2 Valor, it does have 2 Call By, and Synchron is, like, arguably the best deck for this format. But the other issue, too, is, like, and I touched on this in the last video as well, just having to learn these decks. Again, these synchro decks, including the loner decks, are these very, like, combo-intensive decks. And it's just, like, a lot of people think it's just such a chore to learn just for the event, which only takes a couple of days to grind out. I mean, we're only on the second day of the event the time I'm recording this and the time that I did these games, so, But in any case, like I said, I did get at least a few good games to show you guys. So we'll run through my list here real quick, and then we'll take a look at those. At the top, we've got 1 Weeping Idol, 3 Max C, 2 Doki Doki, 3 Adamancipator Seeker, 3 Adamancipator Researcher, 3 Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, 1 Gigantes, 3 Quackymere Guardian, 3 Adamancipator Analyzer, 3 Adamancipator Crystal Dragite, 3 Quackymere Supplier, 3 Block Dragon, 2 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 1 Lightning Storm, 2 Call by the Grave, and 3 Infinite Impermanence. Down here in the extra deck, we've got Herald of the Arclight, Stardust Charge Warrior, Coral Dragon, White Aura Dolphin, Adamancipator Risen Leonite, 2 Adamancipator Risen Reptites. We got a Darkened Dragon, a Colossal Fighter, a Crimson Bleeder, a Stardust Spark Dragon, a Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, Adamancipator Risen Dragite, and a Baron de Fleur. And the extra deck is 14 cards. And in an ideal world, our 15th card would be a Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. However, I still have yet to craft one, and I don't really plan on using one in any decks in the near future. So I didn't want to craft an Ultra Rare just for this event. Not for this event. Okay, yep. Without further ado, let's just go ahead and take a look at these games here. Okay, so like I mentioned, this first game here is going to be the Adamancipator mirror match. Again, this is actually a pretty decent back and forth here. And we do get the first turn. I'm going to lead by summoning my Analyzer, of course. My opponent is going to respond with Max C. However, since I don't have Cold Bite or Ash, I'm just going to go ahead and pass here. Opponent draws for turn. They play a Sekka's Light, revealing that they are also Adamancipator. I, at the very least, have my own Max C. So, opponent's playing Quackmere Sandman, which is an interesting tech, but it's basically Quackmere Guardian, but for trap cards. In this particular event, though, I don't think there's enough trap cards running around. I mean, there are the stun decks, but maybe it's just been a personal thing. I haven't seen as many as I've seen other people talking about. It's probably just, a RNG thing on my part. So, opponent is pretty clear that they are just going to go for it here, despite being under Max C. They're going to summon their, well, they had to summon their Analyzer, but they're also getting Doki Doki and then discarding to summon a Supplier as well. Opponent's then going to sink all three into a Baron de Fleur. And at this point, they'll go ahead and stop. So they did give me a few draws off of Max C, but they were able to get their Baron out, their Omni Negate. I'll go ahead and use Supplier here. In a way, I'm trying to bait out the Omni Negate from the Baron, but also, I didn't expect my opponent to use it there. It's also to block damage and, make sure I get at least one search for my last Quackmere Guardian here, so. At this point, I'm like, okay, I can summon Quackmere Guardian, and then if my opponent tries to use the Baron Negate, like, they basically aren't going to be able to, so. Since I don't have any tuners, Adamancipator tuners in hand to start off with, I'm just going to go ahead and Block Dragon, banishing what I've got in Grave, and then I'm going to run my Block Dragon into their Baron in order to get some searches so that I can do some plays in main phase 2 here. Since I already have the Rock Monster out, I can Special Analyzer, and then of course Secret following that. We're going to start excavating here, and like I said, I'm not really particularly concerned about my opponent's Baron because I do have a Quackmere Guardian here to stop her Omni Negate if I need to. So we hit a Supplier here, but unfortunately my opponent has a Nibiru. I'm going to try to use the Guardian here, but of course, my opponent's got Baron, like I mentioned, and technically I guess it wasn't right to use Guardian here because then I don't get quite as many stats on the token, but it's not really that big of a deal because, of course, they're probably going to deal with the token anyway. I'll go ahead and throw a Max C in here to get at least a couple of draws off of this Nibiru. Although, looking back, I actually wish I would have saved it. I should have at least thought a little bit more before just snapping off the Max C there. Because really, I don't know what I was expecting to draw that was actually going to be able to, like, be usable, honestly. Because I'd already special summoned Seeker and Researcher with their own effects, so it's not like I could keep comboing out. Looking back, yeah, I probably should have saved that Max C. I could have definitely gotten more than 2 draws off of it, but opponent's going to special summon the Researcher, since of course Nibiru is a rock. They will special and hit the Supplier. At this point, I'm a little bit concerned because I don't have any hand traps in my hand, but I do have the token and a Block Dragon out, as well as still 7,500 life points, so I still have a pretty decent chance of surviving this turn, even though things do look a little bit scary here, especially if my opponent whiffs here is what I'm thinking, but they do hit a Researcher. Fortunately, they hit Researcher, and I believe they don't actually hit... oh, no, they do hit an Analyzer. Okay, I was going to say they don't hit a live search. Oh, that's right. Yeah, they summon the Analyzer, and then they do the Excavate while they have 5 monsters on the board. So, whoops, maybe opponent just, like, the reflex kicked in to just activate the effect as soon as it hit the board. But that's why you got to be careful not to let your brain do the, like, auto-playing like that, so to speak. So, opponent's going to slam down Dragite, and at this point I'm pretty confident I'm just going to lose. However, the opponent is going to only end up revealing 1 rock monster off of Dragite, so they can only bounce the token. And since Block Dragon, like living up to his name, with the 3,000 defense actually keeps my opponent from being able to do anything at all against me. I want to begin by summoning the Guardian. My opponent's going to respond with Raptite to banish the Block Dragon. I actually do want the Block Dragon. It's not like super essential for my plays, but I do want it still. So I am actually going to go ahead and negate, and I'm pretty sure my opponent doesn't have a hand trap anyway. They only have 2 cards in hand. They already used a Nibiru. They've already used a Max C. Odds are just not super great that they've got something else, so... Yeah, I'll summon the other Block Dragon, switch the other one to attack mode. We'll get the Raptite out of here and then crash into the Nibiru. I don't want to crash into the opponent's Block Dragon because I don't want them to search, because basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up summoning Baron and then eventually Adamancipator Risen Dragite of my own, and I want to bounce back their Dragite and their Block Dragon. Don't want to bounce back their Nibiru, even though obviously I will have already comboed off by the time I bounce it back. Still might come up later that I might need to combo some more. In that case, I don't want this Nibiru to hit me again. So I'm going to be destroying the Nibiru with Baron's effect. I could have made some more slightly optimal plays here. I will admit, at this point, I did actually forget that I was in main phase 2. I thought I was still in main phase 1, so I was trying to set up like an OTK kind of a board. My ending board isn't actually going to be too bad anyway, but just know that, I mean, we got the Baron and the Dragite out. Those are the most important things, but I feel like, I don't know, I couldn't pick it out off the top of my head right now. If I paused the replay and like stopped and thought about it for a few minutes, I might be able to come up with a better line I could have done, but it wouldn't have been like that much better than this one, so it's fine either way. Like I said, we're going to bounce their Dragite and Block Dragon, and then destroy Nibiru with the Baron. It's a waste to destroy Block Dragon, obviously because it can't be destroyed with Baron's effect, and then not really that essential to destroy the Dragite when we can just bounce it instead. My opponent's going to do Adahara, special summon Adahara here. I'm going to discard a Maxine response. I've still got 17 cards, so I'm not super concerned about decking out here. Now, interesting thing that I wanted to note there, my opponent summoned a Block Dragon and then Guardian, but then I guess realized they couldn't go anything with their extra deck and then conceded. But it made me think that line, like, you know, it'd be interesting to put Adahara in this Synchro only event, and then you could put like a whole range of other Synchro monsters in your Adamancipator extra deck. Like you could put in a level 9, would have really helped my opponent right there. They could have synced the Adahara and the Block Dragon into a generic level 9 and then gotten Block Dragon Search, but like just having that odd level tuner opens up like there's a good amount of, you know, good level 7s. I don't know, there's probably not that many great level 5s or 11s, but just being able to open up more Synchro options. So, of course, I didn't even think of this or really realize that was an option until the very end of the festival, for me, pretty much at this point. But, yeah, if you're still playing out there and you're running Adamancipators, consider Tenisphera Adahara, because it'll open up, again, odd level Synchro monsters for your extra deck. But, okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the next game. Oh, yeah, also funny, the connection fails. They didn't even, like, concede. But, okay, yep, now on to the next one. Okay, our next duel here is going to be against the Synchron Loner deck, actually. Yep, we get the first turn, so it's, I mean, again, it's the Synchron Loner deck. We get the first turn. Like, what's really even going to happen here, right? We're gonna summon the Analyzer and then get the Excavate. I do manage to reveal a Doki Doki, which is obviously one of the better hits. I think I've mentioned this before, but even in like my regular ranked Adamancipator deck, I am slightly considering putting in a third Doki Doki. Even though it's not something I really want to open, like it's not a good starter, it's really good to hit off of the Adamancipator Excavates, especially if you've got something like Quackmere Guardian or Call By to protect yourself, or like Crossout Designator if you're playing that. Yeah, obviously because Doki Doki lets you send into further plays, and it's not uncommon at all for you to have an extra rock monster to discard to summon something, so yeah, been considering a third Doki Doki. I like the idea of it a lot. So yeah, we reveal the Guardian here, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and sink into Baron de Fleur. Again, I think in this event it's really important to have negates going into your opponent's first turn, so I'm pretty confident in my board here. I've got a monster negate, I've got an Omni Effect negate, and then I've got two pretty hefty defense monsters here that'll give me searches and excavates a little bit later down the line. Opponent's going to play Rhoda. I'm not going to Ash to Rhoda because I'm pretty reasonably confident they're playing Synchrons. Of course they are. They're going to discard with Jump Converter, and now I'm going to Ash. And this is a really good effect to Ash. Any effect where your opponent has to like discard to search is really, really good to Ash because it ends up being a -1 for your opponent, right? Like you spend one card to get rid of their two, so opponent's going to normal summon the start of Shalom to try to go into Formula Synchron to try to get some kind of an out. They'll try to draw. I'm going to go ahead and clock in your Guardian here. Just don't even want to deal with it. And then I'm pretty sure they just actually concede at this point, now that I think about it. Oh no, that's right. They tried a Lightning Storm, and then I used Baron's effect. At this point, I'm like, do they have a second Lightning Storm? Do they have like what could their last card be as an out? Like, I was really curious to see where they were going with this, and then they just conceded, so. I think that kind of speaks to the event as well, that like, I kind of, this was one of the quote-unquote better replays I saved. Like, in a normal ranked gameplay video, I wouldn't save a replay like this, honestly, where like my opponent conceded this quickly, but again, it just kind of speaks to this event. Well, in any case, let's take a look at some more games. Alright, next game we're going to take a look at here is actually against Gradles. Yeah, Gradles. I've never even heard of this deck before. I think it was around right at the time I was getting out of Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe it was starting to get introduced, but yeah, like I said, never heard of this deck before, but okay. They're going to set 3 back row, but we're the luckiest player in the world. We open Harpy's Feather Duster, and I actually want to take a look at my opponent's graveyard, because, like, I saw the skill drain. Like, I don't think I even registered that this was a Gradle deck when I played against it, now that I think about it, because I saw the skill drain, but, like, what is this Gradle split? Target face a monster you control, equip gains during the main phase, destroy the monster is equipped to, and if you use oh, that's kind of interesting. It's like Rescue Rabbit. Well, that's weird. It's like Rescue Rabbit for this deck, kind of, but it's a trap card. That's odd. Gradle Parasite. Opponent's monster requires an attack. Special summon Gradle. Oh, that's interesting, I guess, but obviously didn't really do a whole lot for my opponent there. Although it's funny, you know, my opponent wasn't able to really do much, but I ended up whiffing on my Seeker here, so I'm not really able to do a whole lot myself. I'm just going to go ahead and smack him for 1200, set the Imperm in the middle column to potentially snare a spell or a trap my opponent might absentmindedly set there later. But yeah, my opponent doesn't have any plays. I mean, you know what it was? I saw this replay was 4 turns, and I was like, okay, it was more than just a concede, right? Like, this should be an interesting game. My opponent's going to play Max C, but, you know, at this point, they're at less than 8,000, so it should be really easy for me to actually find lethal here. So I'm going to go ahead and get the Dragite. I don't even mind summoning the Dragite under Max C because I get a draw as well. So, but like I said, I'm just going to go ahead and go for lethal here anyway. Summon the Raptite in attack mode, activate the Raptite's Excavation ability. We do get at least some options here with Doki Doki, Supplier, the Dragite Crystal as well. We end up summoning Doki Doki because, like I mentioned earlier, Doki Doki is just a really, really good card to excavate. Yeah, here I'm going to actually discard my Max C so that I can banish it with Block Dragon. Not that I think my opponent's going to special summon during this turn, but, you know, with the amount of cards they're drawing, it is certainly possible. Yeah, I want to get the Block Dragon out so that I can run the Baron de Fleur out here as well, just to get the Omni Negate on the board, and of course also the Block Dragon searches too. At this point, we can go ahead and special Seeker, and special Gigantes as well, and then, okay, my opponent just conceded. I was going to say, I'll probably just attack for lethal at this point, but, yep. Opponent just concedes, and, yeah, I guess that's just about it for that one. Let's go ahead and take a look at another game here. Okay, so this next replay here is going to be against good old Virtual World, which I did not see a whole lot of in this event, although I will say that I've noticed that Virtual World has been a bit on the decline in terms of popularity lately. I don't think it's necessarily even in a worse state in this format necessarily, although I might have to do a little bit more research in the latest like meta report, or not meta report, the latest tier list on Master Duel meta in order to try to figure that out. So yeah, opponent's actually going to take the first turn with this one. They're going to do some pretty interesting stuff here. They're going to go, well, I mean, not really. I guess they summon the Ash, which is a little out of the ordinary, but they're going to go for a Shen Shen here, which is not too bad. I mean, obviously our stuff getting banished is annoying, but it actually doesn't stop us from really comboing off, so... also, how nice is it to see 2 level 9 synchros that know they can't go into VFD here? Oh, so nice. So nice. Alright, we can special summon Analyzer here, so we're going to go ahead and do so. Then we're going to go ahead and special summon Seeker. Want to summon the Seeker, or activate the Seeker effect before the Analyzer effect for pretty much this exact reason. Our opponent could chain to the Analyzer effect with some kind of effect that destroys the Analyzer. Then we won't be able to special summon the Seeker, and then we're just kind of done at that point. But since we activate the Seeker effect first, even though the Chuchui, the gate here, destroyed our Analyzer, we still get to summon the Seeker, because the condition is that you have to have the Adamancipator monster in the field, but once you've activated the effect, you've already fulfilled the condition. So even if that Adamancipator monster is no longer on the field, you'll still get to special summon Adamancipator Seeker as well. Or, not as well, you know what I mean. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and just start comboing off here. Special summoning the Supplier off of the Researcher. Going to sink the Researcher and the Dragite into a Raptite. And then from there, we're just going to keep on excavating, summoning the Raptite in attack mode, just in case I need it to potentially go for lethal here, which I'm fairly confident I can do in this scenario. So we get another Seeker off of the Raptite. I would have preferred... No, we already used Analyzer. Have we used all 3 Researchers, or all 3 Tuners this turn? I think we have already. But in any case, we'll just go ahead and summon the Dragite here. Just want to reveal at least 2 to get rid of the Synchros, ideally 3 to get rid of the Chuchui as well. We end up revealing 4, so that's cool. Gonna normal summon Doki Doki at this point, and then yeah, my opponent just concedes because yeah, at this point I can pretty easily just go for lethal there. I think I have one more replay to show you guys, and then we'll go ahead and call it after that. Okay, this is gonna be the final replay. Oh, you know, I just realized I already clicked on the replay, but I forgot to look at what deck my opponent was playing. So I guess we're going to find out together. Alright, looks like we get to take the first turn here. Looks like we're going to be summoning Analyzer, yep, and activating the effect. Opponent's going to respond with Max C. We don't really have a response, or like an out, to Max C, like Ash or Called By, so we'll excavate, obviously, because we have to, because we've already activated the effect. Which, by the way, not just here in the Synchro event, but on Ranked Ladder as well, I see a lot of people responding to like the normal summon of an Adamancipator monster with Max C. Don't do that, because the special summon is an activated effect, right? Like, you do get to, you know, chain to it to guarantee to get a draw, but I do end up going for one more special summon here to get the Dragite, so I can negate a spell or trap my opponent activates. I figure that's worth giving them one more draw. In this case, I'm going to do it on the diagram, the Draconic diagram, so I guess I did actually end up playing against at least one True King deck here, True Draco. Opponent has a Gamma to respond with, so that's a little unfortunate. At the very least, we do get to use our Max C in this matchup, which you most often do not get to do. So I guess there's that much, again, at the very least, but... Opponent's going to go ahead and activate Diagram's effect to search their Draco, was it Draco Behemoth, I think is what it's called? Draco Fighter. They'll then tribute the Draco Heritage, pop one of my infinite impermanences. Not really concerned about that because I just got another one face down. Photo deals a lot of damage to me, but, you know, looking at my hand, I figure as long as I get, like, a tuner, then I can still go into plays, and I can probably even just win that same turn, so... Opponent synchros into Red Dragon Archfiend, which is an interesting choice, but, fortunately, opponent's monsters battle this turn, so they don't get destroyed. Opponent's then going to set 3 back row. Again, I'm just the luckiest player in the world, and I opened with Harpy's Feather Duster against the deck it was relevant against, so I even have the Imperm down already for when my opponent activates the Draco Fighter's effect here. Very, very nice. We're just going to go ahead and negate that search, and then just wipe our opponent's back rows. And like I said, now at this point, I'm not particularly concerned with what my opponent is going to be able to do, and I'm also reasonably confident that I can just end the game on this turn. I'm going to activate Researcher's effects. My opponent does have Valor, though, which is... yeah, you know, annoying, but not the end of the world. We're going to go ahead and sink the Researcher and Supplier into another Raptite. This is why I like having 2 Raptite. I think this is the second Raptite I've used, right? No, sorry, that was the last game, but yeah, I like having 2 Raptite for this event because there are a lot of scenarios where, like, you use one, but you don't end up comboing off with it. Or, like, it gets negated and destroyed and you end up needing a second one. So we actually whiffed with this Raptite, but it's okay, we have a backup plan. As you just saw, we summoned the Block Dragon, ran it into our opponent's Draco Fighter there, and then we were able to get our searches, which are going to let us summon, keep comboing off in the main phase 2. Obviously, with, you know, we have plenty of options to out a Red Dragon Archfiend, and then our opponent's going to have, like, nothing left. So, yeah, not too difficult of a win there. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to the outro. Alright, everybody, thank you for checking out this video for the Synchro Festival here. I'm pretty reasonably confident at this point that, like, okay, now I'm done. And again, I don't mean to be such a Debbie Downer about this event, but at the same time, it's like, I don't think I'm the only one who's really just not particularly impressed with how this one played out, which again, it's interesting, right? Because I don't think any of us really kind of guessed that leading up to it, right? Like, we knew the Synchro event was coming, and I guess to the degree, I mean, I did think to myself, you know, when it got leaked, before it even got officially announced, when it got leaked, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to build a Synchro deck. But I figured, you know, the event was coming at the end of the month, like the other events had. And I was like, okay, well, I have at least a little bit of time. Maybe I can figure something out I can throw together. And then, yeah, it just got announced out of nowhere to be, like, in the smack middle of the month instead of the end like it normally is. And then that's just like, okay. You know, like, so yeah. I mean, we did have Adamancipator, and that was pretty much, you know, always what I was going to play anyway. But, yeah, I feel like for a lot of people, it just came out of left field, and then people weren't prepared for it, which I think that definitely contributed to the lackluster response kind of to the event here. But also just, again, and this is something I don't think any of us really anticipated back when the event got leaked, which was that just how combo oriented most synchro decks are, and how in turn reliant on just conceding and stun decks people were going to be for this event. It makes me kind of interested now, because, like, you know, we kind of assumed before, oh, there's just going to be summoning method events for, well, every summoning method, right? But, like, seeing how the Synchro event played out, like, the Pendulum event would be way worse. They can't do a Pendulum event, right? Like, if Synchros are niche, like, Pendulum decks are so niche. I can't imagine more than, like, maybe 3-4% of players on Master Duel own a Pendulum deck, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I think it's still a fairly decent, like, representative. Well, okay, maybe not 3-4%. It cannot be more than 10. It's absolutely not more than 10. I think at most it's probably like 7 or 8. We'll split the difference, call it 5. Whatever. It's pure speculation on my part anyway. The main point I'm trying to get across is, like, how could they can't do a Pendulum event, right? Because it's just going to play out even worse than this one did. The Link event, if they did that, wouldn't be bad, because I think Link monsters are pretty ubiquitous at this point in the game. That would actually probably be pretty fun. I actually think the Fusion event, as weird as this might sound, would still play out a little better than the Synchro event, because Fusion decks, there's at least a bit more of a variety and more accessibility. Because that's the other thing about Synchros too. You look at Synchro monsters, pretty much all of the usable ones are super rare and ultra rare. Like, at least with Xyz and Fusion and Links, you have, like, it seems like at least there's more of a variety among, like, how good, you know, the cards are across rarities. But with Synchros, it's definitely, like, it's very noticeable. Like, all the pretty much, you know, usable to good ones are super rare. All the really good ones are ultra rare. And then there's some usable rare and maybe normal ones, I don't even know. But okay, that's pretty much all I've really got to say about the event at this point. I'm interested to see what you guys think about the event in the comments below. But yeah, like I said, honestly, I know I said it last time, but I can say it very confidently this time that I'm pretty sure this is just going to be my last video for this event. So, yep, that's about all I got for you guys right now. As always, thank you for watching, especially the very end. I greatly appreciate it, as well if you're commenting and subscribing, but don't feel like you have to. Honestly, as long as you're just here along for the ride with me, that is all that I could ask for from you. Without further ado, this is XLex, signing off, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day.